Previously on Obedience Podcast.
How do y'all feel about like this hype around what did Sierra pray for to get Russell Wilson? Like,
Some women don't need a boys; they may need a Peter.
That's what it is. We're
Yes.
making it a fairy tale. We're making it Cinderella when it's no.
when Sierra made that prayer, she also made a lifestyle change. So, are you willing to make that lifestyle change to get Sierra's prayer?
You can't pray somebody else's will. The will for their life. You can't pray for your own life.
You know, send me somebody that you know is perfect for me because you know me better than
There
I
you
know
go.
myself.
And God's list, His list, might be different than what we have in mind. So we have to be open to that interpretation. So
Like, okay, God, this is what I want. This is my expectation. I just invite you into my list of like what you got for me.
really,
Because I'm not a physical person.
Praying for me and praying with me. That's my
That's
number one.
If you make a list, try to make sure you can do those things on that list.
Obedience, 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 obedience. Obedience is a cornerstone of our faith in God. Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Being obedient requires faith in God. Without faith, it is impossible to walk with God. I will. Obedience. Obey God.
Hey, y'all. It's Ashley.
And Shantavia.
And this is Obedience Podcast. We'd like to welcome you guys to part 3 of Booed Up. In this part, we'll be talking about dating. So, let's go ahead and get started.
All right, so the base scripture for our dating episode is going to come from Psalm 32:8, and it reads, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you who are willing to learn with my eye upon you. And so that's basically summing up what you do during dating. Like, you're just searching for the right person to jump into a relationship with and actually be with. And so I feel like that's a good scripture to like encourage you to, you know, God will lead you and instruct you on what you should do and what you shouldn't do, who you should be with and who you shouldn't be with. So, as a Christian, how do you guys think Christians should date?
I think it's going to be a lot to interpretation with it.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about earlier our discernment the last episode. So as long as you have a sense of discernment and let God lead you first, you know, don't just react, you know, don't just jump into it, you know, look for the signs, you know, early. Let them come to you in a sense. Don't try to fill in blanks for a person, if that makes sense. So I think that's important.
When you say fill in blanks, what do you mean?
When getting to know someone, don't assume.
Yep.
Because, baby, assumptions will get you messed up.
Oh, yeah.
You better ask them questions.
And also make sure that you're dating with a purpose.
Yes.
Because if you know what I'm saying, if you're a believer, saint, Christian, whatever title you want to use, you're not dating just to date. You're dating with the purpose of marriage. So make sure that person that you're dating, you can actually see a future with them. You know, not just dating them because it's Mardi Gras time and they look good in the tux or Mardi Gras ball gown. You know, make sure that you can see past the fun part.
Yeah.
That's good.
I agree with y'all. I think we should definitely date with intentions, whether you be Christian or not. No, you should date with a goal
Always,
at hand, because you don't know what you're working towards if you just out here just meeting people. So yeah, intentionally with a goal. And I think that you should establish some boundaries. Like, even if you do have like a list, we talked about in the last episode with the list. I think you should make your expectations known, like we did before. Not too late. I told y'all previously, I like to go ahead and get it out the way because I don't like to waste a lot of time. Maybe not on the first date. When I say no, not in the first date.
Not the first thing.
But like, don't wait until be like, okay, I want to be in a relationship, and to be like, okay, these are my expectations. I think you should give them to them like bit by bit. Don't be like, okay, this date we're going to be talking about expectations.
Yeah. Like, here's my list.
You're here or not. So yeah, I guess I don't know. I hate to give like a time wise of like saying okay,
Because you can't.
because you
'Cause
really
it's different.
yeah, because everything is like every situation is different.
because you also have to play in the part that you guys' schedule may be different, so you may not interact as often as another couple, so you can't really put a time stamp on it. And if I may intersect, don't do it by text, please. Never
Yeah.
text someone and be like, hey, we need to talk. That is the worst text message of all time, so no texting.
Yes. Please don't do that. But yeah, and just be honest. Like if you, I don't know, just be 100. Cause like I feel like a dating is pretty much an interview. You're trying to get to know that person, whether they're gonna meet the whether they meet the requirements of the job or not. And that's being in a relationship. So just be honest. Don't lie on your resume. Just be completely honest and make your expectations known.
That is true.
Do y'all believe like Christians should do situationships? Is that healthy?
Let's define
Break that, yeah, break that down to me.
Let's define it first.
I need to know what that is.
So from my viewpoint, a situationship is kind of like you're talking to this person, but you're not dating.
Courtney.
But it's like more than one person.
So you're getting to know
Let me say this.
multiple people?
I think there's another connotation with dating. Dating is just that. I believe you can date more than one person until you commit to someone. You can go out and date and get to know people. So I don't think date means this one person singular, lead this person. So I think you can date a couple people, and then I'm not saying make it a habit. I'm just saying it's a possibility. I don't think you would be foul for doing that.
I know for me, like before, recently, I would date multiple people. I would have situationships. It was always somebody there consistently. And so I've stepped outside of that, and I don't allow myself to date multiple people anymore. But that goes back to like what you guys were saying. Like every situation is different. Like I know that I can't do that in my walk, but Ashley may be able to do that in her walk because that's not what she's having a hard. That's not what she's having a hard time with. But me, if I put myself in that predicament, I'm gonna have a hard time. So that's what viewpoint I wanted to come.
Self-evaluation phase will let you know.
Yep.
Yeah, because I know in my case previously, when I did do the multiple, I was on shaky ground because if I'm talking to Jane and she get on my nerves, I'm just gonna talk to Sue. Then when Sue get on my nerves, then I'm gonna talk to Beth. Then when Beth get on my nerves, it was just it never gave me a chance to kind of work things out and to be a problem solver in a relationship. Because whenever I was on bad terms with that one person, I just go to the person I was on good terms with. So that's something I know that I couldn't back then personally do.
Yeah. At one point, I got it mixed up at one time. I was getting to know one, but I sent the text message to the other one, and I was just like, "Oh, you didn't go through this? Oh, okay. Well, disregard that text."
Oh my god.
So I was just like, "Okay, this is not for me." So I said one person for me. So it's a situation by situation.
Somebody
That worked for
might
me.
be good at multitasking.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not.
You cannot have a rotation, huh? So have you guys heard of the no kissing rule?
Yes, and it's stupid to me.
Let's go there.
I agree.
To me.
I agree.
I'm with it.
I
Let's
don't
go.
see anything wrong with kissing, but kissing is so innocent.
Let's define no kissing for the audiences.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So you cannot literally kiss the person that you're committed to in a relationship until you're at the altar and you say I do. That's when you
Man,
Nah, fam.
I saw a post like this on Facebook to where a couple that actually did that. They had dated, I think it was a little bit over a year, and they was going to get married, and they was like they haven't kissed. And this is one thing I don't get about some believers, saints, Christians, whatever you want to call
Let's
yourselves.
go there.
We put this unrealistic expectation about they were like, I could say, oh, that's the right thing to do. That's a true man of God right there. That's a true woman of God. How? Because they didn't kiss? That don't mean nothing. You can kiss somebody and not have sex with them. You could kiss somebody and it just be, just be nothing leading behind it. So to me, nah. And because if you can't kiss, then I mean, I'm just saying that to me that's silly to me. That's trivial in my opinion.
Now I will say like it goes back to each individual person. Like if you know that kissing is a trigger for you and it's not helping you
Discernment.
then you just need to keep that rule. But if that's not your issue,
But
I
that's
don't
for
see a
me in my
problem.
house.
We will kiss.
I think that's preposterous. If someone has a no kissing rule, no offense, and I mean this in like with the best statement, you might need to go to therapy. Because if it's that, no, seriously, if that is that much of a trigger for you,
Yes.
there's something underlying you're not addressing.
Yeah.
That you need to get taken care of. Because that's just simple intimacy. That's just something that y'all two share. You know, that's a gift that and y'all need to learn what each other like, man. Like
Exactly.
mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause they might just like the grandma kiss. Like, I ain't no grandma kisser. You know what I'm saying?
Give me a
Give me a
kiss.
peck, baby. No.
Oh, they might like to try to eat your mouth. You like,
Oh, they about to get spit in your ear. Like, damn, beard wet.
Right. Nah, fam. They keep that.
Definitely.
No. I've even heard like the Duggars, like they don't hold hands
come
until
on,
they're
now.
engaged. And
Holding
then
hands.
they just be holding on for dear life.
I guess my thing is, like, where in the Bible does it say that you can't hold hands or you can't kiss?
I'm waiting for that scripture myself.
Yeah.
Turn
know,
your Bible.
If you found it, put it in the comments below, please.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Please.
And nothing out of context either.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't be
No,
making
don't be
stuff up.
no. Oh, you supposed to abstain from the appearance of evil, and it ain't got nothing to do with it.
But you know what? Like, I'm not really a hand holder anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not
I'm
either.
not either.
Yeah,
I'm not
you
either.
know, my
I
hands
be
sweat.
like, yeah.
Yeah. But it's kind of like, if you tell me I can't do it, I'm like, but why? Even though I don't want to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. My thing is, and this is just trivia, like, people tell me I walk fast. So holding hands, to me, that's like a task. Like, I got to make sure that I walk slow with
That's
you walk.
real.
And if you in the mall and you stop to see something, you dragging me back, I'm pulling you ahead.
Yep.
I hold hands briefly, but it's not going to be a stroll where we just going to be holding hands.
I hold your hand when we cross the street.
Yeah.
That's
No,
that's
it
about it.
It gets awkward after a while.
Yeah,
I be
it
like,
does. It
enough
does.
is enough.
When do we stop?
Yeah.
How do we start? And when do we stop? Both of those, like the starting and the ending, is so awkward. Wow. That was
That's a bit
hilarious.
awkward for me.
So we're saying no to the no kissing rule.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And emphatic no.
Oh, so what do you guys think about dating on like the social media and these applications like Tinder, Bumble, and Christian Mingle, Farmers Only?
I'm all for it.
Yeah, go for
I'm
it.
all for it. Or Real Black Love. Shout out to Joseph Dixon. You know what I'm saying?
Look,
Yeah.
I'm for it, man.
Is that what you?
Yes. I met her on the app.
Yeah.
Want to talk about it?
I met my fiance on Real Black Love app. It's also a group on Facebook. But yeah, I met her on the app. And the rest is history.
Yeah. Same way with me. Young lady slid in my DM. Asked me how my day was going. I had never had that happen before.
So who is that young lady, sir?
The yellow one blushing right here. But no, she came so genuine. Just it wasn't even like with an intent. It was just, hey, how you doing? How's your day going? And I was like, nobody's ever asked me how my day going. And then it just developed into conversation and went from there. So it's all about intent. And honestly,
That's true.
I had just downloaded that app that day,
Oh, wow.
and it just so happened to work that way. So
Same thing. She had just downloaded the app that day.
and I look at it like this: social media is a tool. It can be used to build or destroy, and it's all in how you use it. What kind of tool is it for you? I don't depend on it. The only time I really interact with social media is to promote things and just to get stuff out there to be seen. But I'm an in-person talker. I like to sit and chop it up the old-fashioned way. So, you know, if it's a tool for you to get you out there, because there are a lot of people who are introverts like myself. So I wasn't going out to, you know, put myself out there like that. So it just so kind of worked out that you came to me. So if it works for you, that's fine. Just don't become dependent on it. That's the only thing. So use it, but use it responsibly. Be safe, and you know, use your discernment, man. Don't. If it's a thing where you checking it every day, or you feel like you got to check it, you need to cut it out. Then,
Yeah. Or
You
be
know.
like, Lord, is this him, Lord?
right?
Should I send this friend request? I'm just gonna like the picture and hopefully he follow me. If he follow me, then that's from the Lord.
Oh, I can't
Yeah.
stand that.
If he like two of my pictures,
Yes.
no, if he love one,
Oh yeah, don't ever put love is coming on
Right,
right, boy.
man.
It's over with.
then he is
It's
the
over
one.
with.
Quit putting them stipulations on God.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Man.
I'm all for dating apps. I will say this though, Christians, you need to stay off Plenty of Fish
Bruh.
because it's no good
That
on
is
Plenty of Fish.
Now I actually have a
Tinder
story
too?
about that one.
I want to hear it.
My ex-wife, I met her on Plenty of Fish.
What?
It wasn't nothing. It
Before
wasn't
it
nothing
got-
creepy. Yeah, it wasn't nothing creepy, nothing like that. But before that, like the messages I would get before that, like yeah,
It's
it's some people out there and they don't mind sharing what's on their mind.
Yes.
Bruh. It's
Oh,
Wild
so
Wild
it's kind of
West.
like a.
It's very explicit.
Oh,
Very.
very much.
Very.
Very much so.
Very.
You think of Plenty of Fish, like, oh, this is so innocent. You think of a school of
Nah,
fish,
cut.
and then
Man,
you
more like a
look at
school
like,
of piranhas.
like, hurry, let me delete this out real quick.
Sharks, eels,
Yes,
stingrays.
stay
man, they
away
out there.
from Plenty of Fish.
They out there.
So, like you, I feel like dating apps can be used to expand your dating range. I mean, because like if we're in Mobile, so like our pool is not that big, but I mean, and to say you only go to like these 3 places when you go out, get on your dating app shows you more people in your area that you wouldn't necessarily
That's true.
connect with. So that's why I'm all for it. Like me and my ex, we met on Bumble, and I would do it again. I don't see a problem with it. I do think that some like with dating apps, like in Mobile, it can be harder to find people just based off location.
Okay.
But if it's meant to be, it'll happen on the app.
I don't think there's anything wrong with any of the. I won't say any of them, because I was initially persuaded by Shantavian and Carlos. I was just like, oh,
I was gonna say, you better tell me
Yeah.
how hard it was to just get you to do it.
yeah. I was just like, this ain't for me. And we got signed up that night. Some years had passed. I was meeting people, delete the app, get back on it, and it had gotten to the point where I was just swiping for fun. I'm just bored. Let me go ahead and no. And I would, just conversate with different people. Didn't really go anywhere until I got stoned. Oh, you didn't get that?
Oh, you talking about me?
Yeah.
No, I'm being silly. I got you.
Yeah. Until I got stung by a bee. And this is what I have.
Oh,
So, yeah. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it.
In the last episode, we talked about deal breakers and what you would what would you compromise for? We talked about that in the last episode. So, the one thing that I wrote down, it's kind of like related to deal breakers and whatnot. It's red flags. So, like, if you have your list and something from your list is completely opposite of what the person that you're dating is doing, you get a red flag, right? And so I wanted to talk about, what a red flag is and how you should handle those situations. So a red flag is when you're in a situation where it all looks good on the outside, but on the inside you feel uncomfortable, nervous, or on guard. So I was reading the Bible plan with this in it, and they gave the scripture Psalm 32:8. And it says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you who are willing to learn with my eye upon you. So, I've been in relationships before where I got a red flag immediately and I just ignored it because I'm like, okay, we already committed. And I'm talking about like committed relationships. So I'm like, we already committed. I'm just going to have to, we can figure it out. I can change that. I can make that work. Something like that. Just ignoring those red flags when most of the time, if you have a red flag, it's probably not going to go anywhere, Not all the time, but most of the time. So in that Bible plan, the author wrote about a time that when his house was on fire, and he said that his dad saw the smoke. And at that moment, he told everybody to get out the house. He didn't go looking for the fire. He just saw smoke and knew to leave. And so it's kind of like, if you see a red flag, do you want to stick around and wait until you see the fire, or do you want to get out? I mean, because if it's smoke, there's always going to be fire with that situation. So, have you all ever experienced a red flag in a relationship that you ignored? Or if you do have red flags, how do you approach it with that person to try to get past it?
A few years back, I dated a young lady who was quick to anger, and I just attributed it to being passionate. When I kind of had a hint that you're a little hot, and it turned into a full blown domestic situation. She was abusive, and I I ashamed to say I stayed with her for 2.5 years when I shouldn't have, and yeah.
You shouldn't be ashamed, though. A lot of people.
I'm not ashamed now, but I was then because I sat down with a few of my boys and I talked about it before, and they hit me with the statement, "Oh wow, boy, that's crazy," and it's kind of not what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it.
y'all, my boys. I'm telling y'all this, and I'm sliding it, trying to get a feeler, and they didn't have a solution. Their response was, "I don't know what to tell you, bruh." Like,
Man.
And so, yeah, that was a pretty hard time. I took me a long time to get over it, but I'm glad I did eventually. But I definitely should have listened to that voice in the back of my head, like, nah, cuz you need to pass on this one.
Oh yeah. I know I was in one where it was cheating and cheating sexually, but I was just like, well, people make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? I ain't perfect. You know what I'm saying? And I ignored it. But the same way how the red flag started pretty much in the early part of the relationship, that's what ended the relationship. That same red flag. So I definitely wish I hadn't ignored it or made excuses. You know what I'm saying for it. And I was in such a bad headspace. Then that's back when Tank had his song called "Maybe I Deserve." I was listening like, man, maybe I do deserve it. But that just lets you know just how messed up my mind was. But yeah, the red flag that I ignored, that was the red flag that ended it.
You waiting on me?
Yeah.
I would definitely say address those red flags. I know a lot of times it's hard to, because especially like when dating, you want to see all of the good in a person. You don't want to, you don't want to see them flawed or whatnot, but it's gonna come back up, whether you like it or not, and it may come back in a different way. It may come back more aggressively. Like, I feel like you can waste time if you don't address it. Those flags. So.
Yeah.
You getting that escape route, but you got to be like Lot's wife. Like, you see the red flag? Like, what?
Don't do that.
What? It's over with.
She came so baby.
Now you just a condiment.
Salt Bae, literally. Y'all serious.
That was good.
If y'all don't get that reference, I'm gonna need y'all to go read
Yeah.
that Bible.
Right.
Oh wow.
That was good.
I was waiting on your turn. We all been transparent. I'm like, oh, she.
Oh, talking about me?
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
We
I
all
didn't know I
been
had to share an
transparent.
experience.
Yeah,
let me
man, you
think.
gotta
Let me
share.
think real quick. Okay. Another situationship I was in, I was proud of myself for this because I walked away. Like, we were sitting in the car one day. He was like, "Yeah, I remember I went to Destin and me and my ex got into a fight in the car." I was like, "Wait, what? Y'all got into a fight in the car?" He just like said it so casually.
Like,
He's-
it happened every day.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, we got into a fight in the car." I was like, "Oh, okay."
That goes to show you how frequent and normalized he made it. That he brought it in
Exactly.
Yeah.
every day conversation.
Man.
Yeah, that's a hollering red
Man.
flag.
Yeah.
That's a couple of them.
Right.
They're like on a drag way.
Yeah. Yeah, we just got into a fight in the car.
Man.
Yeah, that's
Man. Ain't
like,
no
yeah,
way.
I think I'm gonna call it a night early.
I know that's right.
Oh, so late.
Man,
It's only 5:30. It's just past my bedtime.
time change.
It affected me. But yeah, if it's like serious red flags like that, I need y'all to like take heed and get out that situation.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you guys feel that dating as a Christian is harder than dating as an unbeliever?
Yes.
That was quick.
Okay.
Why so?
I mean, unbelievable. They ain't got no rules. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got no rules and guidelines that they have to, you know what I'm saying, that they have to, you know what I'm saying, walk by. I'm not saying that all believers, you know what I'm saying, do this. I know some do have, you know what I'm saying, sex before they get married. You know, I know that happens. I've done it before. But what I'm saying is they don't even have that, like, that's not something that will be a topic, you know what I'm saying, for them. Like, if they want to jump off the first night, you know what I'm saying, they can with no conscience, no
Yeah.
nothing. So I think it's so many, you know what I'm saying, God, like, I mean, we're taught, you know, date somebody, you know what I'm saying, get married to them, have a family, stuff like that. Unbelievable. They like, you know what I'm saying, I don't need no piece of paper to tell me, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, this, or I don't,
Yep.
we can shack up or
It's just a
I'll
piece
do
of
whatever.
paper.
Yeah.
So they really don't have no rules, whereas we do.
I actually disagree with you.
Uh-oh. Let me hear it,
I
brother.
think being a non-believer makes a world of difference, and I think they have it tougher. Because when you're a non-believer, it's the wild, wild west. You're open to a lot more things than a Christian would deal with. Think about it. We're teaching about discernment, right? Listening to the word and letting them guide you. Who's going to have a harder time finding the right person, the one that's being led or the one that's just floundering about by themselves? So I think because they don't have that structure, because they don't have that I hate to say a leash, but that morality leash that Christianity provides, I think you're open to a lot more because now there's more diseases, more domestic incidents. There's way much more chaff you got to deal with, rather than Christianity cuts out a lot of that by changed behavior and a pattern you attract, and you attract what you exude. If you exude Christianity, you can bring those qualities out in other people. But if you just out here, you taking the hard route, player. Like you're open to a lot more. That's how I feel about it.
Got me thinking.
Right.
Now you got me thinking,
Yeah,
Mr.
I thought
Sir.
about this one last night. I sat there and sat in my chair
Oh, you were
with
meditating
my
on
little
this.
crystal light and swirled around. I thought about it.
I know you got me thinking, Mr. Sir.
Yeah, man.
Because initially, of course, I did say yes.
Yeah, but there's like when your parents tell you don't be out past a certain time, right? Be in this house by a certain time. There's a reason they telling you that because you ain't got to deal with what comes out at night past that time. So I think the person that's out there experiencing that has a rougher time than that person who has that guidance. Therefore, you know.
So they just out here doing it freely.
Just doing it. When you
Yeah,
gotta
with no
figure it out for
guidelines.
yourself and you gotta bump your head time and time again, I think you making it harder for yourself. So I think it's harder for them.
But some of them like that hard time, though.
That's true.
Like the song, the
I
freaks
agree.
come out at night.
I was
You
thinking
know what I'm
that
saying?
too.
Because I know when I was out there, like let me put it like this. I knew God. I knew of God, but I didn't know him. So I was still clubbing, whatever like that. I didn't want to go, you know what I'm saying, out in the regular daylight hours. I'm like, at 10 o'clock, I'm like, okay, it's time for me to go get my 6-pack to get ready to go to the club. Then about 11:30, okay, then let me get me some liquor to get ready. You know what I'm saying? And I would repeat it night in and out, no matter what happened. If they was shooting at the club, okay, I know not to go to that one. I'm just gonna go to another one. But I was still going at those same times, doing the same old routine because that's what, you know what I'm saying, I desire. Like I looked at it like this, like when I was growing up, I was like, man, I can't wait till I'm grown and I'm on my own, where I ain't got no rules. I can just do what I want to. And then there's some people still like that. Like no matter how bad they're struggling, they're like, well, at least I'm struggling on my own. I ain't, you know what I'm saying, live with my mama, stuff like that. And I was like, man, I wish I could go back to having them just going to school and coming home and
Not
doing
paying bills
chores.
no more?
I would love that.
Remove this for me.
I mean, I do agree with you, sir. Yeah, I mean, if you ain't got no covenant, you ain't got no direction, you ain't got no light, it's hard to move with no light, you feel me? So, I guess I'm going to change my answer then.
You have been converted.
I've been converted. Because, I mean, it's hard dating either way for a believer or a non-believer. Because I feel like the unbeliever feel as though it's a small pool. You know, we got we got this little bit, we got about 5 people over here in our pool. When the And then we look at the outside and we see like the unbelievers. They have like this huge pool to pull from. So I guess from that aspect, it is harder for unbelievers. When we see like a world of all of these people living a worldly life, and like, so where is our pool to pull from? So I guess like in that aspect, it is harder. But I do agree with you, as far as like a God or a covenant to live in. So that's my answer. I've been converted.
Been delivered.
I've been delivered.
Delivered.
For me, my answer was pretty safe. I didn't have a yes or no. I just said, you know, I have explanation though.
Okay.
Dating is hard, period.
Yes.
Just all around is hard. I do think that it is very tough for Christians. Because I agree with what you're saying. But like also as a Christian, like going like mentioning what you said, like the dating pool, you have to approve, God has to approve, their yoke has to match your yoke. It's so much. Not saying it's a bad thing, but it'll take you time. Is whereas, you know, if you're going in as an unbeliever, you're just like, oh, I like how they look. So I'm just gonna like date them. And you're not like you're not trying to better yourself. So you don't have to go through this season by yourself. Or you can get married. You don't care about getting divorced. So you can get married and get divorced. It's so many things that you can just, I don't want to say get away with, but get away with being an unbeliever. Whereas if you're a Christian, you have these standards. And not that they're bad standards, it's just you have these standards. And each one of those standards are designed to help us. Like you were saying, you know, you don't go out at night because of the things that happen at night. You know, if you sleep around, you can be introduced to, you know, have the risk of getting various diseases. So like everything that the instructions that God left for us were intentional to protect us at the end of the day. So I'm not complaining about the way we should date as Christians. It's just, it is tough. But I do know, like once I stepped back into the dating pool, one important thing, you do want to, even though it's hard, you still want to keep, you know, God at the center of your relationship. I know, like, in my past relationships, you know, you believe in God? Okay, perfect. That's only conversation. That's the only
You know
conversation
him?
we needed.
You've been to church, you know, in the last year.
You go every Easter? Okay, that's fine. I'll go Easter with you. But I mean, now that's completely different. Like, I need you to have like a different level of understanding. Like, God needs to be right in the center of our relationship, you know, for it to last and for it to work. So, consult with God first.
Anybody got any lasting words on dating?
Take your time.
Any other questions?
Just take your time. Don't go by anybody else's standards. You know you, and God know you better than anybody else. Don't go by any else's rules. Don't let your auntie, don't let your uncle, don't let that lady who sell candy or whatever you go visit try and hook you up. I don't even do that little whole, let me hook you up with such a knocker. You going by what you think of me versus what I know and what God knows. So, I'm straight. So, discernment, man.
Yeah. Any other? All hearts and minds are clear.
The doors of the church are now open.
I just want to take, just from this part of the episode, just I feel like the biggest thing is just to date intentionally. Don't just be out here dating to date. Date intentionally.
Yeah, man, we ain't wasting time in 2020, man.
No.
Stop wasting people's time.
Right.
Ain't nobody got time for that. So this ends the part 3 of Booed Up. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We hope you guys got something from it. So stay tuned.
And as always,
Be obedient.